It was late at night, and tonight, we're going to tell a story about sleep paralysis by a ghost. But this wasn't just an ordinary nightmare. It really happened to a man named Agui. Everyone in the surrounding villages had heard about it, because it took place in the abandoned Liu family mansion. Agui was a traveling peddler, bold by nature. That night, eager to cover more distance, he missed a place to stay. To make matters worse, a torrential rain poured down. From afar, he saw the dark silhouette of the Liu mansion. It looked like a giant beast crouching in the night. He had no choice but to steel his nerves, push open the heavy cobweb-covered door, and go inside for shelter. The mansion was damp and bone-chilling. The stench of mold mixed with dust drilling straight into his nose. Feeling his way in the dark, Agui found a side room that was still mostly intact. Inside, there was only an old carved wooden bed, covered in a thick layer of dust. Too exhausted to care, he brushed it off haphazardly, wrapped his clothes tightly around him, and lay down. At first, he only felt that the bed was hard, and his whole body cold as ice. Half conscious, he drifted into sleep. No one knows how much time had passed when he suddenly awoke. Or rather, his mind awoke. His eyes could faintly make out the pale moonlight, shining through the holes in the roof. His ears could hear the rustling of leaves outside in the wind. But his body was pinned down to the bed, unable to move, not even a finger. His throat felt as if it were stuffed with wet cotton. He couldn't make a single sound. It had come. This was the feeling of ghost pressing the bed. A guy's heart raced with fear and panic. He struggled desperately to move. And then it happened. He felt something pressing down on him. A cold, bone-piercing weight suddenly crushed his chest. It was as heavy as a corpse, pressing until his ribs creaked, squeezing the air from his lungs little by little. The suffocation wrapped around his neck like a frozen snake. Agui wanted with all his strength to cry out, to move, but even his eyelids wouldn't blink. All he could feel was that this thing pressing on him, though without a solid form, was filled with malice. A freezing aura seeped into his skin, as though it wanted to freeze his very blood. Even more terrifying, he felt it moving closer to his face. A stench, like soil mixed with rotting wood, blew against him. He couldn't see it, but in his mind, an image formed, a twisted, deathly pale face with wet, tangled hair. The hollow, pitch-black eye sockets loomed over his forehead, staring straight at him. The corners of the mouth curled into a venomous grin. It was sucking away his vital life energy. Agui felt his strength and warmth being drained bit by that icy presence. Despair, cold and suffocating, surged over him like a rising tide. Just when he thought he was going to die, smothered, frozen, and powerless, a sharp, piercing rooster's crow shattered the dead silence outside the window. In that instant, the crushing weight on his chest, the bone-piercing chill, and that nauseating stench all receded like a tide. Suddenly, control of his body returned. Agui jolted upright from the bed, gasping violently for air. Cold sweat soaked his clothes, his whole body trembling like a leaf in the autumn wind. As the faint light of dawn crept in, he stumbled and scrambled out of that room, not daring to look back. He ran until he burst out of the mansion and into the open road. Only when the rising sun touched his skin did he feel the faintest warmth return. Collapsed by the roadside, still shaken, he finally looked back at the dark, looming mansion. And at that very moment, he thought he saw a pale figure flash past the broken window of that side room, long hair drifting. Beneath the carved wooden bed where he had lain, something dark seemed to sway in the shadows, like a pair of feet dangling in midair. A guy's story spread quickly. The elders shook their heads and said that decades ago, a terrible tragedy had taken place in the Liu family mansion. A pitiful woman, abandoned by her unfaithful husband, had hanged herself from the beam of that very carved wooden bed, still wearing her red wedding dress. Her vengeful spirit never dispersed. She preyed on travelers who sought shelter, pressing down on them in their sleep, draining their life energy. So remember this: if, late at night, you suddenly awaken unable to move, your chest weighed down by a crushing, icy coldness, don't be too quick to open your eyes. First, listen carefully. Is there something moving beneath your bed as well?